Oh my god. How long has it been? Like 2 months? Where the fuck have I been? Holy shit, you're lazy, fat, Indonesian piece of shit. Hey guys, I don't know how to start this video, but I'll start anyway. So, I made a new level. I released a new one, and I managed to challenge myself to make it in 1 week. And so we're gonna talk about that. Since 1, I haven't uploaded a video in 2 months, and 2, I wanted to make something interesting. So, today I wanted to talk about machine. So, now let's go into the creating here, and I'm just gonna immediately open this level right here. Now, if you wanna see the full level, I'll show it now actually. Alright, now that you see the full level, let's go and talk about this level. So, before we start, I wanted to tell like the backstory of how this level started. I made a level like last week with my friend Blue Skies. You probably already know who he is, called Oscar's Voice, and that level went well. A lot of people like it. I helped him build on it. I think I built like around about 50 or 60% of the level. But after that level was released, I sort of like have this little urge of like, man, I also wanted to make a level. So I decided to just search on Newground and find a song that would sit perfect. Then I stumbled upon this amazing song by Waterflame, which I'm surprised no one has used yet. A lot of Waterflame's recent song hasn't been used yet, even though they're really good. So I decided, you know what, I'm gonna make a level with this, and maybe like, you know, a factory theme level. So I decided, you know what, let's make a factory theme level, and so I did in 1 week. Now you might be wondering, Amor, how the fuck do you make a level this quick? You're capping, right? No, I'm not. So I'll showcase a DM screenshot right here, because this level's actually helped with my friend Para. He helped me with the layout of this. He sent me like his finished layout on the 27th of October, and right now today is the 3rd of November, so that is exactly 1 week. The whole level was really fun to do. However, it takes some special skill, I guess you could say, to make a level in 1 week, and I'm gonna explain why. But before that, let's just talk about the level right now. As you can see right here, I tried my best to make it so the level is an art level, of course, because I'm known as an artist. If I am an artist and I don't make art level, that would be kind of weird in my opinion. I try my best to make this art level, instead of, you know, a level where the artwork is just scattered around, I wanted to make an art level where you're like actually inside of those. So I try my best to make it so you are actually inside of the game itself. Like you are in the scenario. And that's the same thing that I did for everything of this. And I try my best to make it so it makes sense. Like if it's a factory theme level, what would be object, what things that you find on a factory? For example, big tube that makes smokes. A gate with a lot of bars in them. For example, this not only just work for factory, like a beach. A beach has a lot of things that you can find in it. What object that correlates to beach? You know, maybe like a picnic, an umbrella, volleyball, sand. There's a lot of things that you can find if you try to correlate that one word into many others that have some correlation with each other. A good example, in my opinion, is this part right here. This part is filled with boxes. And you know, in a factory, you'll definitely see some boxes in there. So I tried my best to implement those boxes into a block design and used a lot of animations to make it more fluid, a lot of posing trigger to make it more interesting, and the result will look like this. There we go. So you can use whatever it is in the game, like, or just in real life, and make it into an object, a design, a decoration, if you just put your mind into it. But let's start from the beginning first of the decoration, and I'm gonna explain everything here. So this part, we start in like, of course, the entrance. I wanted to make it like a setting where you're going inside of the factory. Also, by the way, machine, the name of the level, is actually Indonesian language called machine. That's why I name it machine. The same with hujan, you know, hujan means rain, and then machine means machine. I try my best to start the level with something that is understandable. So how do you start a level about factory? Well, of course, there's gonna be an entrance to that factory. Why not we start with the entrance of that factory? And so that's what we did. I try my best to, that's not the part, get the fuck. I try my best to make it so it looks like the gate, and if you can see right here, the gate is like over. The block design in here are pretty simple. I just try my best to use like this pipe design, and then just use this like square looking block design, more pipes in the background that is smaller. So, you know, it's simple. I just put some lava flow, some liquid there, some overlay, say pipes and some background pipes. Of course, with the background, it's actually pretty simple. I just have to do a parallax effects of what you see in a factory. Like, you know, some tubes in the background. I put some houses and then more tubes in the background. But this time I actually put a crane. This is an important thing if you wanted to make art levels. Attention to detail. Even though it's super unnecessary, it is so good when someone noticed it. In this part, you can see right here, the crane actually go up and down. That's something that probably like only 10% of the people that play this level notice. But it means so much because you have that, you know, if you put a lot of attention to detail into your level, then you have like, you're actually enjoying that. It's like your passion. You're super passionate on actually making that level. So try your best to put more details like that. It's minor, but it's better. Quick tip for making a background is that the further it is, the more brightness it is. So that's why the front of this are dark, and then the back of it is brighter, and then the very back is the brightest. But it's still darker than the background. So it is still, you can still see it and it's visible. Of course, I wanted to showcase what the level name is. Of course, to put more attention to detail in it, I make it so it rotates. Now, when I was making this, I like the idea of, you know, the blinking lights of it. It blinks. And when I see it, like, oh, that's pretty cool. Let's use it for the next block design. And that's what we exactly did. Even though there's not that many moving objects in this part, with the pulsing triggers in it, it just brings so much character into that block or into that structure. And you might be wondering, how do I make this pulse? It's actually pretty easy. What you do is just make a group of the block that you want to structure. And since this is the glow is technically blending, and if you make a blending color black, it becomes invisible. So I just make it pulse to black. It creates this super like cool looking blinking effect. And the block design in here are the same thing. It's like the same thing as this first part, but I just of course added this blinking lights just to make more variations. Like that's a little tip also for you to, if you want to make an art level. Simple changes on an art that is like noticeable will make it easier for you to make block design. Technically, this is still the same block design as this one, but with the different structure, with one adding new features into it, and just making the layout of it different will make it different, even though it is still using the same design as the previous part. Now in this part, that's when I wanted to do something different. This is when you're going closer into the factory. So I decided to add some gates in the background. As you can see, the block design are copy and pasted. It's the same thing, you know. There's like, if I didn't put any decoration, it would look like, damn, this guy is so lazy. Why just copy and paste it? And there's a simple fix for that. Add something that flashes and that is super noticeable, that it will make those copy and paste feel gone. And what I did is using this siren right here. As you can see in the song, you can tell there's a siren in the background. So I decided to make a siren, and this siren are useful to distract the copy and paste feel of the block design. And I put 2 of them, and it just makes it unique because, oh shit, there's a siren in the level. So people will focus on that siren and not focus on the block design that you make that is completely copy and pasted. And the end result, you know, this part doesn't feel copy and pasted at all because of that siren. There we go. Now that's the first way to eliminate the feeling of copy and pasted part. The second way is to use triggers. In this part right here, I make 3 different block design and I just copy and paste the whole thing. Now without the pulses, this part looks boring as hell. But just with simple pulses, it will look like this. See how unique it is compared to just without pulses. Now, it is not realistic. I don't think you will be seeing any boxes in real life that flashes like a party. But you don't really need to make something realistic to make something cool. You know, like in like cartoons, in animated movies, they are interesting because some of the aspect of them are not realistic at all. But it brings character and it brings something unique to the table. That's exactly what I did in this part. And not only pulses, I also added moving triggers. As you can see, I have another boxes in the background that is darker as a background decoration. And just put a little bit of bounce to it, you will create something interesting, just like this. Look at how much more interesting that part looks. With just one bounce, with just like a bounce movement. I just added a bounce movement. That's the only thing I added in this part. I didn't use any movement triggers, I just used bounce out. It just brings so much life into that level. Try to use those moving objects, not in a distracting way. Because sometimes moving object can be distracting and make the gameplay annoying. That's a lot of issues, especially in early 2.0 level, where the moving objects happen too sudden. In this, the moving object is not even in the background. background. Not even in the block design. The moving object is for the foreground decoration and the background decoration. So that's that. Let's go to the next one. So this one also the same way as this part of the siren. I wanted to give you guys another tip on making art level. When you're making art level, you definitely will have ideas of what the part looks. Now there's a lot of cool ideas for one part. However, my suggestion is try to use that idea and split it into different parts. For example, in this part, I focus on the siren on this, then the boxes idea I put in this part. So this part is main is the boxes. Then the yellow cross line is in this part. So essentially, the conclusion is you can make 3 different parts that looks interesting from one idea. Try your best to not put all of the ideas you have into one part. It is not good. It can be good. Now, if you have a lot of ideas, then you can probably do that. But if you're limited to the ideas or limited to times, try to expand that idea into variations of parts, and the result, you will make something interesting and long without having to put too much decoration into them. Anyway, go back into this part. So again, I added some black and yellow cross lines, and also in the back in the decoration right here, that's like a little ribbon, and the background is just a simple tube. And this one, I used the same technique as the boxes part, but instead of background movement, I actually make this so it is the movement of the block design itself or the layout itself. However, it is such a minor movement that it doesn't even disrupt the gameplay flow. As you can see right there, the gameplay is just like a little movement right there. Like, it doesn't really disrupt the gameplay at all. You can definitely tell where to go. And of course, arrow helps a lot with leading the player of where they should click and where they shouldn't click. But yeah, movement like that in the block design can work, you know? It doesn't disrupt the gameplay that much, and it just adds so much life to it. And another thing is, also I put pulsing triggers for the background since it's like a siren, and it brings so much life into it. So that's that part. Let's go into the drop. Now, you know, I wanted to make something interesting. This is something that a lot of people are struggling with when it comes to making art level. Transitioning from this part into that part. From part A from part B. It is so hard for some people because some people just put fading black and then just showcasing it. Which can work, which what I'm using in this part. However, it can be boring and it can be disruptive into the gameplay also. And it's just lazy in my opinion. So try your best to think of how you should just like put a little bit more effort into transition on your level. Because transition might be something simple, but it can define what is a level with a lot of effort put into it and what is a level that's just like, okay, let's make a level. There we go. A good example for me is this entering right here. Since you're going inside of the factory, I wanted it so you go actually inside of that factory and the door closes once you are in. And then it showcases black screen and then whoop, you're inside the factory. So it makes sense. You know, you're going inside of the factory from the door, and then when the background goes back into normal, you are inside of that factory. So try using that more. The little more effort into the transition will help a lot with your level. Then let's go talk about this factory part. This part, I actually reuse a little bit of a cheat here. Actually reuse the asset, not really reuse, but change a little bit of the asset of the bolt from this boxes part and make it into an actual block design. And to make things again more interesting, I added those flashy light color, as you can see right there. Now, at this point, I was really like, I don't know what to put on this part, and my friend suggested I should put chains, and I did. Now, there are chains in the game right now that you can use. However, this chain is not really that interesting, and I don't really like the way it looks. So I decided to make my own chain. Now, this is another thing that a lot of creators, in my opinion, should do. Using the game assets, like, you know, the game's brick, the game's, all this design that the game provides, like the wood texture, the stone texture, for art levels are, you know, can sometimes work. A good example is Subwoofer. He makes a lot of art levels and he uses the assets of the game and the design of the game and to make something interesting. However, for me, I like having the idea of making your own design, because if you make your own design, or what is it, the level doesn't feel off. Like each part will correlate to each other, and every single part on the level, if you make the design yourself, will have the same style and will be consistent throughout the level. So that's why I usually just make everything my own. Like I make my own brick. So try making your own assets when you're making a level, because if you use those assets style throughout the level, will make the level more interesting and has more character into it. It will feel like you actually made them instead of using the asset that the game provides. So that's pretty much it. This part, just flashing colors, nothing really interesting. Now, this part right here, you might be wondering what the hell this correlates, Amber. What is this part, the meaning of this part? And to that, I said, I don't fucking know. I legit have no idea what to do in this one decoration part. My brain was shattered. I was like sleep deprived when I'm making this. So I decided just, you know what, let's just put colors and circles and tubes. There we go. This is a bad example, by the way. Don't do this. The reason why I just do this because I was so tired, I haven't slept, and I really wanted to finish at least a part on that day. So I decided to finish this and move on. This is definitely the weakest part of the level. It's just super out of place. Even the style is different, but at least I added some pulsing trigger to it to make it more interesting and some movement to it. And if this happens to you, you know, that's completely fine. You know, sometimes we cannot really push ourselves in our imaginations, and it's good to just lay back and just do what you think it's good. In my opinion, this part looks good at its own, but of course, as a whole, it looks the most out of place. But it works out, so I don't really care. Now, in this part right here, I want to talk about song synchronization. Song synchronization doesn't always need to be gameplay. Song synchronization can be used in the background, the movement, pulses of a block design. For example, this part right here. This part has these vocal chops in them. Now I wanted to make it more pop. So not only the gameplay that has the synchronization with the song, but also the pulses with this chain, as you can see right here. And same goes with the light right here. It just brings so much characters and uniqueness into the level. So try using more pulses trigger. It's really useful. And alpha trigger too. Now in this part. This is like the third last part. And as you can see, I already give an example in the beginning of this video of using an assets and just reuse them in a different way to make it different. Like this part is the same concept as the part in the beginning right here. It's the same concept, a stack of boxes. However, I made the structures different. I make the way the level flows different. The gameplay even is different style. So it's the same concept but implemented in a different way. To make it more interesting, I added some cool gimmick into it. As you can see in this part, I added a crane. And that brings so much into a level. That is simple, but just that movement right there, just like, oh, you're actually being picked up by a crane and you're using that mechanics of the level to pass through and try to beat the level. So yeah, it's the same decorations, but I added the crane to make it more interesting. Of course, the background also, I make it synchronized with the song to make it also interesting. And I just do the same thing here. And I also added conveyor belt in the bottom here. Since I added this crane on this first part of the boxes, I added this conveyor belt to make it more interesting and different, even though it's still using the same boxes idea. Fast forward into this part right here. Now, since the level is about machine, I wanted to make the player actually interact with that machine or just whatever it is. So instead of just making machine background, I decided, or like, you know, a machine art in the background, I decided to just make the player go inside of the machine and do the gameplay right there. And so that's what I did in this part with rustic block design, with a lot of gears, with a lot of like moving bolts like this. I don't know what they call, but you know, movement like that. At first I was going to make this like the machinery is actually in the background and you will see it visibly, but that's kind of obvious and I wanted to do something unique. So instead I just make it so you're just going inside the machine itself. And yeah, I made some cool patterns here because like this block design is relatively simple. So adding this little cool, like this cool pattern isn't copy and pasted, by the way. I tried just to make it like interesting by itself. It's not really that time consuming, but the end result will look good. So yeah, I just make it cool looking pattern and yeah, and it looks good. Then the last part right here. This last part was definitely the hardest part to make. I wanted to have the idea, since I make in this part, in the beginning of the machinery part has some conveyor belt in it, I wanted to use that conveyor belt to an actual design. But it didn't fit on this dual, so I didn't use it in there. But I decided to use it on the last part and, well, Lord and behold, it looks good. If I just make it like this, static, you know, it doesn't look interesting. So this is where I put more effort into the level. I decided to animate a whole rotation trigger of the lines in this conveyor belt. Just like that. Now, this is really hard. You know, this is frame by frame animations and he's using alpha trigger, which I don't want to dabble to. There's a lot of tutorials outside YouTube that you can find. But essentially, that's what makes a level from good to holy shit, this is so cool. Something simple as a looping animations on a fucking conveyor belt adds so much into the level. It makes sense. You're going into a part with a lot of conveyor belt, you're going past them. And of course, the conveyor belt needs to move because, well, you're moving with the conveyor belt. So adding animations like this just adds so much feel and just, you know, make this part make sense. And of course, to make it even more make sense, I made it so the boxes design right here also move with the same direction as the conveyor belt. right there. And to give it even more life, I decided that once the boxes pass the conveyor belt, they fall and they rotate. Simple things like that is so good in an art level. I suggest for you, if you want to make an art level, those things are minor and those things aren't really like noticeable in the bigger picture. But if you implement them and you're just adding some simple details that doesn't really pop, but it's there and people will notice it. Trust me. So try doing that in your art level in the future. Just simple details like that. It will take a more effort. It's not easy, but if you just put your time into it and have fun doing it, of course, you will make a really good level. Anyway, so this part, I just wanted to make some more of a machinery style to it. So like a lot of tubes with fire and magma in it, more bigger gears, some boxes also in the background there, and some background conveyor belts. And chain, you know, gears, whatever it is. And also a little simple detail is this part right here. Since I don't want to use this design on the whole level because I don't want to make it too copy and paste it, I decided to make another design which looks like a bunch of pipes that pumped up fire. Now that as itself looks interesting, but I wanted to make it more interesting, so I decided to make it they bounces and go up and down. Again, this is another example of attention to detail that doesn't really matter that much, but if you put it in, people will notice it and they will love it. So try putting simple detail. It's important. And then of course the level ends, you going outside of the machine with the same entrance as the going the inside of it, conveyor belt, boxes, and of course the end screen with everyone that you want to put in, the dedication, the special things, the playtester, and of course the name of the level. So that's pretty much it of like how I made this in 1 week. In conclusion, if you wanted to try to improve your skill in making art levels or in just making levels in general, my suggestion is to plan out what you wanted to make. Don't make level where it's like, okay, I have this one block design idea, I'm gonna just make a level from it. Don't do that. It's mostly that type of level will lead into you burning out or just not even continuing it. Sometimes it works out, you know, some creators actually make a level like that and it ended up really good. But for me, the best way to make a level is to plan out what you wanted to make first. And of course, if you want to make that. Like for example, I wanted to make a level about factory theme because I just like the idea of a rustic scenery, a rustic feel into a level, and you can do that also. You just have to plan it out first. With that interest, you will gain motivations and try and make a level in a quicker pace. Now again, sometimes it is difficult, and trust me, it is. Back then, I don't really know. I mean, back then, if you look at my old level, I didn't make art levels. I just make copy and pasted design generic looking levels that I built in like 5 hours, which resulted in me being fucking depressed and not really happy with the result that I did. But then when I make Hujan, I use that idea of planning out how the level is gonna work, how this part will correlate with this part, how the whole level will have this design and this color and this theming. And in my opinion, that moments, you know, those theming, brainstorming moments are the beauty and the reason why I love creating levels. It's like making art. Plan out how the art is gonna look, use the sketch, you use this color scheme, and boom, you make the artwork. In Geometry Dash levels, it's gonna be more time consuming, definitely, because you know you're making like a whole level, like making an asset of a video game. But if you have the motivations, if you plan it out, and if you actually enjoy doing those ideas, trust me, you can make levels whatever the fuck you want. The point is, have fun. This game isn't about competition. It's about you and you're having fun with the things that you make. Don't care about what other people want you to do and just focus on what you want to do. You wanted to make a level like this. Do it because you have fun doing it. If you don't hurt anybody in any way, then do it. Nothing is wrong for you doing that because you're not really making any negative connotation because the things that you do is just for yourself. So if you love doing something, don't let other people say what you do. So try remembering that when you're making something. This is not just for art level. This is for everything really. For making art, music, for making content. You do it because you enjoy doing it and because you wanted to do it for yourself. Be kind to one another also helps because if you be kind to other people, they also will probably help you with achieving your goal. Like when I make this whole thing, you know, I ask a lot of my friends for help and they help because I think I helped them in the past with like art or I give them a gift. You know, do things to yourself, but also try your best to be nice to other people. That's the conclusion of this video. So that's how I make a level in 1 week, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my god. Thank you guys so much for watching this short video. It's not really, you know, it's not really funny. It's just me explaining the way I make this level. I'm so happy and grateful to be where I am right now with my career, I guess you could say. I don't really see this as a career. This is just a hobby that I love doing. It resulted in me making a level like this. You know, same goes to PP and same goes to Hujan. So thank you so much for watching this video and thank you so much for sticking around this long. And also want to thank you for hitting 8,000. Still kind of insane for me. So yeah, I hope you have a fantastic day today and I'll see you all again next time. And say goodbye. Bye. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I know this is a bit of a different video. It's not really like a highlight stream or a bot, but if you guys like this type of commentary video with less editing of me just talking about a level, let me know in the comment section down below. Anyway, I hope you guys have a nice day.